Hello colleagues, and welcome to Week 1, Unit 8 of SAP Cloud Platform Version Control with Git. In this unit, we will briefly learn about tags, and then we will open up Web IDE and experiment together with tags and branches to see what we can learn about them in practice. Conceptually, you can think of a tag as a named stamp you put on a particular commit in your repository to note something. Unlike branches, tags can't be checked out, so they always stay attached to the same release. For this reason, most teams use tags for release management. This is actually an important best practice because if you attempt to keep track of your releases with branches, the branch pointer could move off of the commit you initially assigned it to. So the most common tags you'll see are tags that specify release numbers. Now that we've discussed tags and branches, let's open Web IDE to learn about them in a hands-on way. Okay. So here we have the Git history pane, and if you remember from previously, I'm going to select the top so that we can see the entire repository history. We have this last one, we added OpenSAP link to the README file. Let's go ahead and put a tag here, and let's call it version 1.0. So I'm going to click this little box here to say select this commit, and now I have all these buttons. We've already learned about revert. Let's look at tag. So I'm going to say v1.0 for version 1.0, create, and oh, there's a little tag there. Little picture of a tag, and you highlight over it, says v1.0. That's the name of our tag. So now let's go back here. We've got master branch. Only one branch really, local branch at this point, but let's create another branch. Now because we're on the tip of the master branch right now, when I create another local branch here, we're going to call this one feature. Hit OK. So now we have another branch feature pointing to the same commit that master is pointing to. Let's go over here and look at the history pane. Now, if I click this, it says feature comma master, indicating that on the latest commit, you have both the feature branch and the master branch. We have, let's see, 6 commits here. Let's just draw this out to see what this looks like. Especially when things get more complicated, I find that drawing out a repository can be helpful when you're troubleshooting. Let's do it. So here we have, I said 6 commits. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we have master pointing to the latest one. And we just created an additional branch named feature, also pointing here. So that's our repository right now, very simple. What if we wanted to add another branch, say here? Can we do that? Yes, Web IDE will let us do that. So let's click this one. Now we've selected this added blue color to first header. And I'm going to select checkout. And I'm going to create a branch name called experiment. So now we have the experimental branch. And if I go up here, now it's showing the history branch experiment, but let's look at all 3 of the branches we created. Now if we go here, this version is pointed to by feature and master, and if we go here, this one is pointed to feature, master, and experiment. This notation can be a little confusing for some. What branch means here is that this particular commit is either pointed to by that branch directly or it's an ancestor of something pointed to by that branch. So what we have now is just like we wanted. We have a branch named experiment. There. So let's go to, we've shown that in the Git history pane. Let's check out feature and make a change. Okay, features is at the tip. And let's change in our index.html file, let's change the style color here to red. Color red. And let's go ahead and stage it. Wait, I saved it. Let's test it because we're good developers and we want to test things before we check them in. Look at that. It's red. Oh, it's missing parenthesis. Let's add that. Save. And so now we have our index.html, which is changed, and I'll say changed second header color to red. And I'm going to commit. So now what's going on? Well, I'll just cross out this line. We created a new version here, and because we did it on the feature branch, now we see that feature, master, and experiment, they're in sequence. They're all in sequence, but they're not pointing to the same version anymore. Okay, let's look at in the Git history pane, and if I'm right about that, then what we'll see is on the very top one, it's just going to say feature. Yep. The second one should say feature and master. Yep. And the third one should say feature, master, and experiment. Yes, it does. So that is our repository with respect to those three branches. Now let's check out experiment and make a change. What's going to happen when we do that? Let's go here to check out experiment. It's very easy. Just take this drop down and go to experiment. And we'll change the title from an empty web page to what it's going to be eventually, which is a page of quotations. Wonderful. Okay, and I will say a change title to a page of quotations. And I will commit that change, which should give us a new version. Now, what does that happen? What's going to happen to our repository? We did that on experiment. So if we go here, select the top level here, and we want to see experiment, feature, and master. We're going to see a split in revision history. Yep. Look at this. Experiment is off on its own now. This one is feature, and this one is feature and master. This one will have all three pointing to it. So here's what that means. Let's go back to the drawing. Now, experiment isn't pointing here anymore. We've created another commit off to the side, and experiment is pointing there. Let me just see if I can erase this to make this a little more clear. Not ideal, but it works. You get the idea. So this is, now experiment has created a divergence in revision history off to the side. One other thing I just want to show you briefly. You can not only create branches, you can delete them. So let's check out this version here and create another branch called temp. Branch temp has been checked out. So now we're on branch temp, and it went back to before our changes. I created it somewhere down here, I think. Oh, better change the color back. Temp is here. But I just created it because I want to show you how in Git you can actually delete it. So you can't delete a branch you're actually on, obviously, or else you would be in a detached head state. So I'll go to master. I'm going to hit delete, and we'll delete the temp branch. So you know the basics of branches now. You've seen how we can create branches at any arbitrary commit, how to create tags, how to delete branches, and how to look at the branches in the Git history pane. I now invite you to join me in Unit 9, our last unit of Week 1, where we will discuss and demo reverting.